Virgin Galactic has only been around as a publicly traded company for a couple of years, but we've seen some wild swings. The latest one took the stock as high as 60, and at the moment it's trading down at $24. So is this a buying opportunity, or are we going to see further weakness for Virgin Galactic towards the end of this year? I thought it'd be interesting to do an update on Virgin Galactic. Quite a high-profile stock, clearly, given the business it's in and the sort of swings that we see. I mean, just this year, we've seen the stock trade twice above $60 and then get knocked back in May to below 16. And then here we are again at $24. So I thought, let's take a look for this over the next couple of months. What are the big levels to watch, the announcements, the events to watch out for, and are we going to see it perhaps climb back near those highs from earlier in the summer? So as usual, in this video, I'll talk a bit about the recent news around Virgin Galactic, then we'll come back onto the charts and look at things in more detail. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought we'd do an update on Virgin Galactic. It's had quite the year, as I'm sure you know, if you follow the stock. Loads of volatility, some big runs up, but at the moment, it's well off its highs set earlier in the summer. So I thought, let's do an update looking ahead for the next few months, cover some of the recent news, some of the recent events, then jump onto the platform and take a look at the charts and the technicals in a bit more detail. As usual, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel. It's a new channel for us, and it means we can continue to push out lots of different stock content throughout the week. Right, let's get into it and take a look at Virgin Galactic in a bit more detail. So just in case you're not aware of what Virgin Galactic is, it's a space flight company founded back in 2004 by Richard Branson, of course, founder of many of the Virgin brands, and its business is developing commercial spacecraft. It only came to the market in 2019, but since then it has had quite a few moves. We've seen the stock range from as low as $7 to up near $60, or maybe slightly above $60. We were back up there again a few months ago, but as I said at the beginning, well off those highs at the moment. It's very much, I think, an event-driven stock. We saw the stock soar in June as it received Federal Aviation Authority approval, the US regulator, to carry passengers into space. Not surprising the stock would soar, given that that's its business, so it's getting approval, clearly a good thing. And the excitement continued up until the 11th of July. On that day, we saw a successful flight with Richard Branson on board into space. But that did end up being a pretty major peak so far. Perhaps there's an element of buy the rumor, sell the news. When the news comes out, there's no more exciting news in the short term to drive the stock, so we have seen the stock slide. Disappointing perhaps for some, it's announced this week that the next flight would be postponed until mid-October at the earliest, and it says that this is due to a potential defect in a flight control component, so it's pushed that back. The expectation was that perhaps we'd have that flight the end of this month, beginning of October, but it is going to be a bit later. Of course, people aren't buying this stock for the current earnings. The latest earnings, for example, showed a loss of $56 million in the second quarter, pretty much the same as the quarter before. Profits may be a long way away, even though, of course, they've sold lots of tickets for when they start doing public space flights. So it's more a bet on the future profitability of this stock. But as I say, well off the highs. Let's take a look at some of the levels to watch. Then we'll jump onto the charts and take a look at the technicals. I think the most immediate hurdle on the upside, $28.80, the highs from earlier in the month, from earlier in September. And we've got levels after that, the next major one up at $35 from August. On the downside, I think it is quite interesting where we are now. There was a pretty major low in May, around about $23.50. After that, the next major support is probably the lows from the year, coming in ahead of $14. But as usual, to put some color on these numbers, let's take a look at the charts. I thought we'd start things off with our moving average. These work well, moving averages, when we have a trend. This is a 20-day moving average. So traditionally, if we look over the last few months, when the price moves above the moving average, like we had here in May of this year, it's a suggestion that perhaps the trend is up or a new uptrend is starting. When the price moves below, it's a suggestion that perhaps a new downtrend is starting, like we had here in July. Where it can get a little bit scrappy and messy is when volatility drops off and we have, broadly speaking, more of a sideways market. And I think we've had a bit of that since August. So we had a buy signal in August, which reversed a couple of days later. Perhaps the briefest of buy signals late August. And at the time of recording, the stock is still below the 20-day moving average. So at the moment, it would take a move through about $25 for Virgin Galactic stock to break through that moving average and signal perhaps a new uptrend was starting. If we take a look at the RSI down here, I think it's quite interesting what the RSI might be showing us at the moment. It did dip into oversold in mid-August, very briefly, suggesting the price had gone far enough for now. And what we've seen since then, a bit of a blip higher in the stock. It has drifted ever so slightly lower through those August lows, but the RSI is making higher lows. So this is known as bullish divergence and can be a suggestion that perhaps the weakness that we're seeing is running out of steam. So I think that makes it perhaps interesting to watch down at these levels, although we may not see further volatility in the stock until we get some more news. But the RSI at least is suggesting that perhaps the slide has gone far enough for now. And I think one level to watch would be these lows from May the 24th, around $23.40 for the stock. That did prove something of a floor after it had gapped higher. So it'd be interesting to see if it can hold above 23 from here. When it comes to the price action, I suppose, if we look at how it's performed historically, when we've seen it bumping around the sort of $16 area, it has proved to be a decent floor there or thereabouts for the stock. And then, of course, we've seen the rocket moves, pardon the pun, upwards. So if we did see the stock weaken further from where it is now, I think it is an interesting one down around the down below, the $20 mark to see if we see these old lows come in. We don't really have a trend at the moment. You could argue the trend has been broadly sideways over the last couple of years, but with plenty of volatility. So I think, that longer term buyers may want to wait and see if we get a bit more weakness from here. From a short-term trading point of view or short to medium-term trading point of view, I think this RSI divergence is interesting down here. We have those old lows, $23.40 from the 24th of May. So perhaps in the short term, we can see something of a squeeze higher, but I do think we're going to have to wait for more new news for Virgin Galactic for it to get interesting and have the potential of the sort of swings we've seen a couple of times this year. That's it for the update in Virgin Galactic. We'll see if we see the stock moving again when this next test flight planned for mid-October takes place. Perhaps we'll see a bit more investor excitement around the stock once more. We'll come back to it. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your investing. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.